Okay, hey, welcome back. So, yeah, I was originally planning on pushing out another part of the From Scratch series, but I ended up failing miserably and decided to turn it into something else so I could just at least put something out. Um, so yeah, I was gonna look back at a old song of mine and remake that into an orchestral version and just generally improve it since it was old and, to say the least, it was poorly done. Yeah, it started with me being really motivated and inspired. I was like, yeah, screw you, old me, you suck, I'm so much better now. But as I went on, the ideas I had didn't really form the way I wanted to, no matter what I tried, and it just kind of ended up, with me doing a complete 180 and begging for old me's forgiveness, on my hands and knees crying and throwing up, and yeah. He was staring at me with disgust and horror. Anyway, yeah, so it went from that to me wanting to make something similar. So I just kind of found a nice piano melody that kind of like gave me the same vibes as that old song, and I kind of felt the inspiration building up again. But as I felt it building, I had that feeling that it wasn't really going to work out for a couple reasons. One, maybe this is just me, but once you take a big blow to that like inspiration meter, it feels like it's just twice as hard to build it back up. At least in that specific moment. Maybe that's just a me thing, and maybe I'm just easily discouraged, or just like doubt myself when I think of something else after the first idea that had already flopped. I don't know. Inspiration's a tricky thing. It's a really tricky thing. My absolutely amazing girlfriend will always remind me to just take breaks and don't really take it too seriously. And I absolutely agree with that. It's still hard, Still rough dealing with that and feeling like you just can't really think of anything. Also, I bring my girlfriend up now because I don't know when, but at some point we are going to be doing things together, and like that sounds okay. We're going to be making videos together, and yeah. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, so yeah. First point being inspiration sucks, difficult, not fun when ideas you think of don't pan out the way you want. But yeah, and two, piano is so hard to orchestrate around. Like, I keep learning that more and more lately, and it's just really upsetting because it is the instrument that I'm by far the most comfortable with and know the best. I know like borderline nothing about playing any string instruments. Like, I just listen to them, and I have an okay idea about what to do with them, but even them is pretty rough. So yeah, it kind of sucks, but yeah, piano just takes up so many frequencies, and it's just like impossible to orchestrate around unless you use like maybe only it in the high end or whatever. But I like using like full piano compositions, or I don't know. Either way, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there are many ways to work around it too, like just different mastering, putting it in front while like your orchestra's in the back or something, and it kind of works. But I don't know. It's just not really what I like envision in my head when I'm trying to make something with it. So I don't know. So yeah, anyway, after all that, I made just this piano composition after a lot of failure, and finally I was down to my last idea. All I wanted to do was just put a few strings over it. Like, my first idea was gonna be just 3 strings, a cello, a lead, violin, and a bass. But, lo and behold, I hated it. So yeah, I was okay with how the cello sounds, and I was okay with how the bass sounded. I just like, it wasn't bad with the piano. There were times where it was a little muddy and like kind of but it wasn't bad. And I could have at least lived with that had I figured out how to make the lead violin good too. But there's my other issue. A lack of experience with lead violins. I don't know how to make them sound real, and I don't have great options for them at my disposal. And that last point genuinely annoys me the most out of anything while making music, just not having these options for like a lead violin, because I love them and just I hear from a lot of people on the internet and just from even people around me that you don't really need all these like fancy plugins or libraries to make good orchestral music. And on one hand, I completely agree. Mastering just one of them would probably work out in many cases, and I'm sure there are plenty of you out there who have like Albion 1, just even the one I'm using, and make professional level stuff with it alone. But on the other hand, maybe it's just because of my preferred style, but they're just simply some things that you like certain libraries can't accomplish. The two big things I've noticed with Albion 1, like from what is lacking, is like lead expressions, or just like lead violin sounds in general, or lead sounds in general. and pretty wimpy drums. So once again, I'm going to say it. That's not really a problem with the library. It's still a really good library, and it's just like with certain styles, there are better options. I've been falling towards like big, beefy, boomy, tickle my ears, trailer drums, or just trailer music in general, which I can still accomplish. Not professionally, of course, but like to my current standards likings, I can still accomplish it. I can just grab some like random punchier stuff online, and then or I can just like mess with compression and stuff on the actual Albion drums, but it won't really compare to what having a mastery over another set. Just as an example, I think it's called Metropolis Arc, like 1 through 4. I've heard that is so much more like catered towards that actual trailery feel, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, with just Albion, it's kind of hard. And once I'm in a better financial spot, I would love to splurge and make horrible financial decisions with those finances and buy a bunch of sounds. Because surely that won't end up with me being just as bad and lost as I am right now. Right. Anyway, yeah, so secondly was the lead expression stuff. My favorite part about music, usually just music in general, and my absolute favorite sounding instrument, is violin. Very hot, daring, unpopular take. Oh man, I know. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Connor. I'm a basic. Anyway, it gets me the most emotional and drawn into music, and I've just been genuinely dying to be able to like recreate that feeling through my own music. But as I've been messing around on FL and researching on Google and Reddit and everything, whatever, I keep coming to the conclusion that I'll most likely never be able to. Really bad mindset, I know, but you know, I haven't really done any research into like if there are really good lead violins in certain sample libraries. But as far as I can tell, it's looking pretty grim unless I decide right now to spend like $800, which I absolutely do not have, on a studio setup and a violin and a brilliant tutor, also known as YouTube, or like just do what most composers do and write their music, then have, you know, an orchestra play it. Who'd have guessed that orchestrating for an actual orchestra would be the best way to get results, right? It's kind of hard for my and I'm sure most people's positions, but yeah. Anyway, I'm losing track, but the gist of it is I can't get that like beautiful, expressive, succulent, strangy sound of a real violin, and knowing that I have that chain on me just kind of sucks. Of course, if I'm like fully wrong and there's everyone watching this that has like a magical solution, I beg of you tell me I'm genuinely on my hands and knees, holding out my hands, even for a crumb of knowledge at this point. Yeah, so I guess I'll leave some questions and statements or something. First of all, do you think, and how much do you think, not having real violinists or like a real orchestra kind of limits your music? Like if you write something that you think is really good, but you just feel it's really held back by the fact that you don't have like a legitimate orchestra to play it. And then those who have, or actually no, do you think it even hinders your progress, like your ability to learn? Like not having access to these things feels like it's holding you back from being a much better version of yourself in terms of music. And to those who have reached a level they're comfortable with, would you advise people to just master 1 or 2 libraries, or would you just like, do you think it's better if we had the option to get a bunch of those libraries and then just have whatever they need at their disposal through those libraries? Yeah, so my last point, this probably stands for people not even just within the music community. Actually, no, it definitely stands for people not even just within the music community. Even just like visual arts or, yeah, whatever, you like cooking, I'm sure, or something like that. But lacking inspiration has to be the worst feeling in the world. Obviously very exaggeratory, because stubbing your pinky toe on your bed frame or having a racer scooter hit your shin is infinitely worse, but you get the sentiment. Feeling like you want nothing more than to just put your heart into your canvas, and then to make something that makes you like calm or happy or even sad if you need it to, just whatever emotion you want to feel through your own like creation. But then you stare at that canvas for minutes, hours, even days, even longer on some occasions, and you're still just at square one. In my case, and many others I'm sure, it is so frustrating feeling like you have so many possible routes to take, so many options, so many just thoughts swirling around in your head, telling you, yeah, do this, do that, or have this be your lead, have this be your blah, 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 whatever. And then you just have like so many emotions or stories you want to display through your own specific style, and then have it all just amount to nothing. And then sometimes even having that inspiration, finding what you want to do, and then have this idea that you're thinking, oh man, I'm literally gonna make my magnum opus, and everyone is gonna clap and cheer, and I'm gonna walk down the red carpet. Yeah. And then it turns out to be literally the worst thing you have ever laid your eyes or ears on, and you just feel your soul leave your body. It's all just so frustrating, but in my case, and for the last time, I'm sure many others too, once you do hit that like mark and you make something you're genuinely proud of, despite the drought that you went through, despite the time spent just staring at your canvas, unable to produce anything, it's all worth it. It is all worth it. It's not fun, don't get me wrong, and it's pretty annoying in the moment, but, you know, now you have something to show for all that time and effort you spent struggling, not even to others, but even just to show yourself. Like, past me is no longer looking on in disgust and horror, now just in pride and hope. Or maybe I'm just schizophrenic and the naked man in my corner is not me from the past. Yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to say. Just a random quick discussion, just to get something out there. But yeah, so of course, since I'm making this video, it's probably time for me to be staring at my canvas and kind of do nothing with it. If I have a random inspiration, that'd be sick, and I will try and get something out in terms of the from scratch series. But yeah, I think that's about it. So I'll play the piano thing I wrote, even though I'm not super fond of it, but it's still something. Yeah, I think that's all I want to talk about. Have a amazing day, have an amazing week, have an amazing however long, whenever I next see you guys. Yeah, see ya.